Cleopatra the Seventh Philopator, the last queen of Egypt. Her story is one of brilliance, survival, and tragedy, and at the end of her life lies one of history's greatest mysteries. Did she take her own life, or was she murdered? Before we reach her death, we must first understand her life, because only then can we see why her end was so extraordinary. Early life and rise. Cleopatra was born in 69 BCE in the city of Alexandria, capital of the Ptolemaic dynasty. Her family were descendants of Ptolemy I, one of Alexander the Great's generals. For almost 3 centuries they ruled Egypt, but by Cleopatra's time their power was fragile. Egypt was rich, but Rome's influence was growing stronger every year. Unlike most of her ancestors, Cleopatra was unusual. She was highly educated, fluent in several languages, and she became the first Ptolemaic ruler to learn Egyptian. This made her stand out and helped her connect with her people. When her father, Ptolemy XII, died in 51 BCE, Cleopatra became queen at the age of 18. She ruled jointly with her younger brother, Ptolemy XIII, who was still a child. Their marriage was a formality, but real power was contested. Soon Cleopatra was pushed aside by her brother's advisors and forced into exile. But Cleopatra was ambitious and refused to surrender. Her chance came when Rome itself entered Egyptian politics. Cleopatra and Julius Caesar. In 48 BCE, Julius Caesar arrived in Egypt after defeating his rival Pompey. Pompey had sought refuge with Ptolemy XIII, but was murdered on the young king's orders. Caesar, angered by this, became involved in Egyptian affairs. Cleopatra took a bold risk. According to tradition, she had herself smuggled into Caesar's presence, rolled inside a carpet. When unrolled, she appeared before him, and from that moment secured his support. With Caesar's help, Cleopatra defeated her brother. Ptolemy XIII drowned during the fighting, and Cleopatra regained her throne. She was now co-ruler with another brother, Ptolemy XIV, but she was the true power in Egypt. Cleopatra became Caesar's lover. She bore him a son, Caesarion, and even traveled to Rome. Her presence there was shocking to Roman society, but Caesar protected her. When Caesar was assassinated in 44 BCE, Cleopatra's position collapsed. She returned to Egypt, had Ptolemy XIV killed, and made her son Caesarion co-ruler. For the moment, she remained secure. Alliance with Mark Antony. After Caesar's death, Rome split between his heir, Octavian, and his general, Mark Antony. Cleopatra knew her survival depended on choosing the right side. In 41 BCE, Antony summoned her to Tarsus. She arrived in extraordinary style, on a golden barge, dressed as the goddess Isis. Antony was captivated. Their alliance quickly became a love affair. Together they envisioned a new power in the East. Cleopatra bore him 3 children, and Antony granted her new territories. But in Rome, Octavian painted this as betrayal. He claimed Antony had abandoned Roman values for the charms of a foreign queen. The war for power. The rivalry between Octavian and Antony grew until it erupted in war. The decisive battle came at Actium in 31 BCE. Octavian's fleet defeated Antony and Cleopatra, forcing them to retreat to Egypt. In 30 BCE, Octavian invaded. Alexandria fell. Antony, believing Cleopatra had already taken her life, stabbed himself. He was carried to her and died in her arms. Now Cleopatra was alone, her army destroyed, her lover dead, her throne slipping away. And Octavian, soon to become the first Roman emperor, was at the gates of her city. It is here, in these desperate final days, that the mystery of Cleopatra's death begins. Did she truly end her own life to avoid humiliation? Or was her death carefully arranged by Octavian, eager to remove the last obstacle to his rule? This is the question historians still debate today. And to answer it, we must step inside her final days and the theories that surround her end. Cleopatra was now trapped. Alexandria had fallen. Mark Antony was dead. Octavian, the rising power of Rome, stood victorious. For Cleopatra, only one choice remained: surrender or death. The last days, ancient writers tell us she tried to negotiate. She wished to save her children and her legacy. But Octavian had other plans. He wanted her alive, to display her as a prisoner in his victory parade in Rome. For Cleopatra, this was unbearable, to be humiliated before the people of Rome, paraded as a conquered queen. It would destroy the image she had built all her life. She had lived as a goddess, a ruler, and a queen. She would not end as a chained captive. The famous suicide. The traditional story says she chose death by poison. Two of her loyal servants, Erase and Charmian, remained with her. She dressed in royal robes, entered her chamber, and lay upon a golden couch. Soon after, she was found lifeless. Plutarch and later writers tell us that an asp, a venomous Egyptian snake, had bitten her. The snake was hidden in a basket of figs brought to her palace. A bite on the arm, swift and deadly, ended her reign. This image, Cleopatra with the asp at her breast, became legendary. It has been painted, carved, and retold for 2,000 years. But was it true? Problems with the asp theory. Historians question the story. A snake large enough to kill quickly would be hard to smuggle. A single bite might not be fatal. And carrying such a creature into her guarded chamber seems unlikely. Other accounts suggest she used a poisoned ointment or a hidden needle. Some believe she carried poison with her for years, prepared for such an ending. But there is another possibility, that her death was not suicide at all. The case for murder. Consider Octavian's position. He had won Egypt, but Caesarion, the son of Julius Caesar, and Cleopatra still lived. As long as Caesarion lived, his claim as Caesar's true heir threatened Octavian. Within days of Cleopatra's death, Caesarion was captured and executed. Octavian then announced that Cleopatra had taken her own life. But what if this was a story created to serve Rome's victory? If Cleopatra was murdered, the method was simple. Octavian's men entered her chamber, killed her quietly, and spread the tale of noble suicide. Rome controlled the narrative. Cleopatra's voice was silenced. Ancient sources. Our knowledge comes from Roman historians, Plutarch, Dio Cassius, and others. All wrote years, even centuries after her death. None were eyewitnesses, each repeated stories shaped by Roman propaganda. Rome wanted Cleopatra remembered as dangerous, seductive, and foreign. Her suicide by snake fit this image perfectly. Dramatic, exotic, unforgettable. But the truth may have been less theatrical. The legacy of her death with Cleopatra gone, Egypt's independence ended. Octavian annexed it as a Roman province, securing Rome's grain supply. He returned to Rome not just as a victor, but as the sole ruler of the Mediterranean. Soon after, he took the title Augustus, becoming Rome's first emperor. Cleopatra's children by Antony were spared, but taken to Rome and raised under Octavian's sister. They would never rule. Her line ended, and with it the last pharaoh of Egypt. Suicide or murder. So, what truly happened? Was Cleopatra a queen who chose death over humiliation, ending her life with courage and dignity? Or was she eliminated by Rome, her death staged to fit Octavian's triumph? We may never know. The evidence is lost in time, hidden behind layers of myth and propaganda. But perhaps the mystery is what keeps her story alive. Cleopatra remains more than a queen. She is a symbol of beauty, power, ambition, and resistance. Her death, whether by her own hand or by Rome's, ensured her immortality. Cleopatra's story did not end in her tomb. It lives on in the imagination of every age. The queen who defied Rome, who fought for her throne, who loved and lost, continues to haunt history. Her final choice, or her final fate, still whispers to us across 2,000 years. And so the question endures. Cleopatra, did she die by her own hand? Or was the last pharaoh of Egypt murdered by her enemies? The mystery remains.